Hey now! What is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB, and I try to at least start off positive or optimistic. I don't always want to wear my feelings on my chest, on my face. However, this is my 31 days of horror movie reviews, and I have been going through all of the Fly movies, right? Who knew that this was such a big and extensive franchise? And I had just finished watching the 1986 David Cronenberg classic, a movie that I grew up on in a lot of ways. And I was always aware that there was a sequel that was made. And in fact, I don't think I saw this. I might have seen like the opening scene when I was a kid, but I don't remember anything else about it. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say I've never seen this before fully. The Fly 2 is a 1989 film that was not directed by David Cronenberg. No, this is directed by Chris Wallace, who apparently they said that he worked on the special effects of the first movie, and when so many other directors backed out of doing this sequel due to creative issues and production issues, they chose this guy to be a company man. So kudos to him for the paycheck and the job title, I guess. This movie starts off in all of the wrong ways. Like this film, the first scene is pretty much setting the stage over how I felt about this movie and what some other people probably felt watching it for the first time. I'm talking about the character of Veronica, who was played by Gina Davis in the previous movie. Not played by her this time, though. She is giving birth to the baby that she was pregnant with at the end of the last movie, and you see that it's going horribly wrong, and she's sort of crying and screaming out that, whatever, it's killing her. You even see her ex-boyfriend, the editor, up there. They got that actor to come back. And they take the baby out. It's in like a cocoon type thing. And then she dies. So Veronica, the character that we followed in the last movie, the character who was played very well by Gina Davis, they just killed off in the first 2 to 3 minutes of this film. Now, I read that they asked Gina Davis to come back, and she said no. But it's not like she said no, so then they decided, oh, well, let's just kill the character off at the very beginning. Because then that might make sense. But no, this was always going to be the plan for her character. And Gina Davis saw that and said, I'm not coming back for this. What the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? You're going to kill me off? Why would I come back for that? Where is there any emotional growth, development for my character that was just built upon in the previous movie? So she said no. And thank God, because as much as I don't like this movie, I would be a lot angrier if poor Gina Davis herself was in that opening scene. So then we see this little boy. I mean, at first you're thinking maybe it's going to be a baby creature, a baby fly looking thing, but out of the cocoon is a human looking baby. And then you follow over the course of some time, this lab is essentially raising this little boy. I mean, they're keeping him in the lab to keep track of him, to test him, to kind of see how he operates. And the little boy, he ages at a rapid rate. Like he's supposed to be like, I think 11 months old, but he looks like he's 10 years old. And he's super intelligent, like he's able to solve hard task in seconds. And so you're thinking, okay, like what's the direction going to be for this movie? Because I don't entirely hate the idea of the baby being born and like him having weird things or special abilities about him and trying to figure out along the way how that comes about. Like there is something to that. I just think you could do this while keeping Gina Davis here, but they didn't. So you see that the 5-year-old version of this kid ends up looking like a 20-year-old Eric Stoltz. So Eric Stoltz, for the rest of this movie, plays Martin Brundle, the son. And Eric Stoltz, man, I don't want to be mean. I don't. I want to be as fair or as polite as I can. Eric Stoltz has always been that actor that whenever I see him, I always kind of go like, man, there's probably a much better actor that could have done that particular role. And I know it's easy to say that because of what happened to him in Back to the Future with Marty McFly and Michael J. Fox, right? We all know the story there. And that's like, whew, thank God, right? Thank God they ended up getting Michael J. Fox when they did. But even in other movies like Anaconda or The Butterfly Effect, or just whenever I see Eric Stoltz, I'm kind of like, he just doesn't bring the amount of believability, the amount of energy, the amount of emotion that I feel is required in the movies that he does. And so, to me, he was very dull. To me, he was very boring. He was very uninteresting. And I honestly thought that the 10-year-old little boy who played this character in the first maybe 15 minutes or so was a much better actor and probably should have been the main character going forward because he was definitely more believable and more interesting. I read that Keanu Reeves turned down this role, which Keanu Reeves, I mean, like honestly, he would have been better in this role, and that's saying a lot. Josh Brolin, who I guess auditioned for this, they rejected Josh Brolin, who I know wasn't a huge name by this point, but like fucking hell, really? The CEO of the company, you see that he's trying to become the father figure of him, and over time, he eventually asks Eric Stoltz to continue the work that Jeff Goldblum did of finishing the teleportation machine. No other scientist, nobody else at this lab has been able to do it. It's been a failure. And because he's so smart, maybe he can pull it off. And so you see a big chunk of this movie that honestly I thought was boring as fuck. You have 45 minutes go by, and I know this because I checked the time. Like, I was just bored to tears of Eric Stoltz trying to get this machine to work, doing his random tests and experiment. He meets this girl, Beth, who's played by Daphne Zuniga, I guess, if I'm saying that right. And, like, she was fine. I didn't mind the actress at all. It just felt like they purposely chose an actress that had a striking resemblance to Gina Davis, at least hair-wise and whatnot. And she just kind of repeated the same steps that Gina Davis's character went through in the last movie, where she just quickly falls in love with this guy. And then he becomes a big-ass giant fly. I did feel bad, I should mention. There was this poor dog. I don't know why they tested on dogs first as far as living things go when the lab themselves was trying to get the machine right before Eric Stoltz got onto the project. They tested on this dog, this cute, adorable, like he wasn't small, but he was just a nice looking dog, right? Like didn't look like he would harm anybody. And they put the dog in the goddamn machine, and I knew this dog was going to be, I thought, dead. What happened to the dog was far worse. He becomes mutilated, he becomes rabid, and then some time passes. The CEO tells Eric Stoltz that, hey, don't worry about your dog. We're sorry that happened, but we put it out of its misery. It's now in a better place. And then later, Eric Stoltz sees that, no, the dog's not dead. The dog is being kept in this little room, still mutilated, still like a horrifying, grotesque creature being fed slop, living a horrible life. I'm like, why haven't they put this dog out? It's probably the most upsetting part of the movie. The whole sequence when Martin Brundle finds out about the truth that this lab place has been surveilling him, watching him, even though they told him that they're not doing that. And so he freaks out. Oh, I should mention that there was actually a decent scene where he's watching footage of Jeff Goldblum. And I thought maybe they got Jeff Goldblum to come back to record new footage, new material of himself during the events of the first movie, sort of almost being interviewed as far as how he feels after it and what's it doing to him. Come to find out after looking it up that no, this was just archival footage that they had. So they just showed it. It's like, okay, yeah, of course he didn't come back just to do this terrible shit. Now, when Eric Stoltz, when he finds out what happened and he gets pissed, runs away, his face starts to deteriorate and mutate similar to Jeff Goldblum in the last movie, but they clearly didn't have the budget, or they didn't know how to work with the budget of the first movie, because the makeup effects look terrible. His makeup of him deteriorating over time, he just looks like shit, and not the good shit, like how he's supposed to look like shit. No, he just looks cheap. The makeup, the practical makeup and prosthetics looks cheap as fuck. And then the third act, my god. So Beth, because he starts to change personality and starts to act like an asshole, similar to Jeff Goldblum, she calls the facility, they come grab him, and he's back in the facility, and he completely cocoons himself again, turns into the fly monster, the giant bug, goes on a murderous spree in this lab, and it's just a big gore fest. And I guess maybe they saved the effects for this portion of it. There was a lot of deaths, there was a lot of blood and gore and violence and whatnot. So if you're into that, maybe I could say it's the most exciting part of the movie. But by that point, I was so checked out. I was so mentally gone. I didn't care about these characters. I just wanted the movie to be done by this point. I did not like this movie, and I looked online and I saw some Reddit stuff of people like defending this film, saying it's, it's underrated, that it might not be as good as the remake of the Cronenberg movie, but it's still a good movie, damn it. And fuck, I mean, I don't want to be that guy to say, if you like this movie, you're an idiot. No, there's plenty of movies that I like that many other people probably think sucks or think is horrible or think I would have bad taste. So I'm not going to say that. I just don't see how you could like this movie. I just watched it and I thought, man, this is such a missed opportunity. This is such a waste of time. This is such a cheap, poor imitation of what we got before. I was pleasantly surprised to read that Gina Davis was actively trying to produce and get going a third movie where her character would come back, probably disregarding the events of this movie, like pretend like it didn't happen, and do a movie where she gives birth to twins that have the mutation. I would rather watch that. I'm not saying it's good or would be good, I'm not guaranteeing, but it would have to be better than this bullshit that we got here. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below if you too have seen The Fly 2. Do you think it's underrated? Do you like it? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later! These silent screams became a part of me. I'm moving past that. Please won't you free my soul? Can't hardly breathe in this society. I'm just a madman. Leave this real.